Welcome to the Oyako Dojo Karate channel. In this episode we are going to look at ways to improve the jab cross. We are going to focus on three specific areas. The first one is mobility. By mobility I refer to the ability to move around while you are throwing your combination. Second, we are going to look at speed, and we are focusing on eliminating extraneous movement. And third is going to be targets, trying to exploit open targets and trying to create new open targets. Let's start the discussion by reviewing the jab. We are assuming our fighting stance. We are on the ball of the foot, the elbows are covering the ribs, the fists are in front of the face. From here, I'm going to step in, which rotates my hip a little bit. My elbow is pointing downwards. I start extending my arm with the elbow still pointing downwards. Once my fist is close enough to the target, I turn the fist over. By rotating the fist, I'm raising my shoulder, which covers my chin. When the arm is completely extended, I can extend it a little bit more from the shoulder. And that's the jab. So with a little bit of speed. And now sideways. I'm assuming a fighting stance. From here I step in. That rotates my shoulder. I start extending my arm with the elbow down. I'm turning my fist over, which raises my shoulder, that covers my chin. And once my arm is fully extended, I extend it a bit more from my shoulder. Next, let's look at the cross. I'm assuming a fighting stance. I start rotating my hip with my back foot, using my back foot, which comes onto the ball of the foot, until I am square to my opponent. Then I start extending my right arm. Once it's close enough to the opponent, I rotate the fist. When I rotate the fist, my shoulder comes up to protect my chin. When my arm is fully extended, I extend it a little bit more from the shoulder. Let's look at it sideways. I start rotating from the back foot. The heel comes up until I'm square to the opponent. Then I start extending my arm. Once it's close enough, I turn the wrist over, and then I extend it a little bit further. It is not uncommon to see people who take a very long, powerful stance and throw entire combinations without moving. It is typically better to move, because if you can move, you can avoid attacks and continue your combination. You can exploit openings, and overall you are confusing your opponent because he doesn't know from which direction he should expect your next attack. To be able to move around while punching, you have to be able to synchronize your hand and foot movements. For the jab cross, there are 4 different timings. The first one is you take into a long stance and you throw your jab cross. This doesn't allow for movement. Another timing is that from your fighting stance, you step in and jab at the same time, throw across and step out. And the third timing, the one that I like the most, is you step in with the jab and again step with the cross, so that you are in the same fighting stance as you were here. Step, step. This allows you to move. And there is a fourth timing, which is essentially a timing for moving backwards, for retreating. So when your back foot lands, that's when your jab lands. These are the 4 timings. The key to being able to move while you are punching is synchronizing your hand and feet. Whenever the left hand punches, the left foot steps. Whenever the right hand punches, the right foot steps. So I'm going to show you 3 drills to practice this. The first one is based on the pendulum step. The pendulum step is to be able to move in and out. We are going to take this pendulum step and we are going to add the jab to it. Every time we move in, we jab. You can do the same thing with a cross too, but I don't particularly like that. The second drill is more direct. I'm taking a stance that's square to the opponent, and whenever I punch with the right hand, I take a step with the right foot. Whenever I punch with the left hand, take a step with the left foot. The left foot lands when the punch lands. The right foot lands when the punch lands. This looks silly, but this is a good exercise to synchronize the hands and feet. Now, you're doing this in place, but you can actually start moving with this. So, for example, I can do the side shuffle with this. From here, I'm starting with a left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And in this direction. In this segment, we are going to look at how to speed up the jab and the cross by eliminating extraneous movements. First, we are going to look at the jab and the hikite. When you're hitting an oizuki, you typically hit and have the hikite. This typically translates into a fighting stance, and you still pull this hand when the person is punching. We have to eliminate this extra movement because 1, it makes the cross slower, and 2, it leaves your face open. Also in karate, when you are punching, you are typically punching from the hip. And this usually translates to dropping the hand a little bit before punching. So dropping the hand telegraphs to the opponent that I'm going to punch across, and also it makes it slower. So again, you should record yourself and make sure that you are not doing this. A third problem is flaring the elbows out. So punching like that. Instead of the elbow pointing down, the elbow is actually pointing out. This isn't so much a speed-related issue. This can cause injury because it sort of turns into a back fist, and you are likely to punch the opponent with the small knuckles instead of the big knuckles. And it's also a problem that your side is wide open. So it's good to keep the elbows in. And people recommend that you practice punching next to a wall so that you can't flare your elbow out. But I found that what's working for me is to alternate punches with vertical fist with horizontal fist. When you hit with the vertical fist, you're virtually never flaring your elbows out. It's practically impossible. And you can do the same thing with the cross too. Another problem concerns balance. Remember, to be able to move, you have to have good balance. And it happens that in a powerful punch, we over-rotate and sort of lean to the left. You can do that intentionally to slip a punch and counter it. But if you don't do it intentionally, then make sure you maintain a good balance. So when you over-rotate and lean, that happens because your knee doesn't have the power to push you back. what you can do is you can turn your front foot in, because now the knee can push you back into your balance. Keep on hitting jabs and crosses, hoping that some will land, is not an effective strategy. Even a beginner can block this very well. This is a tight fighting stance. As the fight progresses, eventually this tight fighting stance starts getting loose. For example, the hands can drop and then there is a big opening on the face, or only one of the hands drop, then we have an opening on my right side, or this hand drops and then we have an opening on the left side. Some people already have a fighting stance like this and then their left side is open. Similarly, if the person turns towards the opponent, is square to the opponent, then there is an opening in the middle. And the person can also flare the elbows out, in which case again there is an opening for body punches. Okay. So George is giving me an opening on the right after fighting. This hand is not close to his face. I can directly exploit that opening by pretending to punch him from straight and moving around to the right. Okay, now we have an opening on this side. So in the heat of the fight, his hand dropped, so there is an opening here. What I'm going to do is confuse him a little bit, not telling him which way I'm going, and then go boom, boom. I'm going to attack it from an angle. To further confuse, I can also attack the head first and the body next. Okay? Now he's not going to stand there and take it, he's going to defend it, so we are going to show how to defend, boom, boom. Or to the head, boom, boom. And you should be turning. Yes. Now he has his elbows flared out. He is protecting, maybe not that much. And now we can see that he's covering his face well, but his body is wide open, so we can just go boom, boom. Boom, boom. We can even attack it straight on. But this can slide off a little bit, so it's better to go at an angle. And how do you defend it? Yes. So now we have no opening. I have to create the opening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit his body, which he blocks, and you see the opening is created on the side of his face. So what I'm going to do is boom, boom. Boom, boom. And that's how we create an opening. George has a nice tight stance, and I have to create an opening, so I'm going to jab, cross to the body, and here's the opening. So jab, cross to the body, and move into an opening. So here we are going to look at how to maintain the advantage. We return to the example of creating an opening on the right, left to the face, opening is on the right, move to the left to punch. He's going to turn and try to block, and then there is the opening. So if the opponent has a fighting stance where one of the hand is further away from the face, I can create an opening easier. All I need to do is make him turn. If he turns, then I have easy opening here. So how can I make him turn? Is to start teaching him. I'm doing an exaggerated movement and then punching into his face. Boom. 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 Or into the body and then in the face. So now when I do this, he'll turn. So I can do this and boom, boom. Exploit the opening. Okay. What's going to happen is that once I turn, he turns, I start punching, he'll turn back. Right? He's not going to stay there forever. So I have to keep moving to the right to maintain my advantage. Boom, boom. I hope you enjoyed this video and found the content useful. If you found techniques in this video that you are unfamiliar with, there are other videos in the Sparring series that are going to explain them in more detail. There is also a supplemental video for beginner shadow boxing that uses only basic footwork and jab and cross combinations. Thank you for watching this video and please visit our channel again.